Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the showdown between the two worst factions in the game. It's going to be Kislev facing off against Nurgle. The Battle of the Pit Lords has begun. So as far as the build goes, we are going to be coming in with the Elemental Bear. As we do know, Nurgle doesn't really have any dedicated anti-large on its roster. It has to rely on Marauder Horsemen, its own single entities, a little bit of magic because they can bring death, so you can use Spirit Leech. But in my experience of playing Nurgle, dealing with large, sure, it's possible. Marauder Horsemen throwing axes kind of are an anti-large unit. You can use the Great Unclean One and or Kugath, but they're also very slow, so it can be hard to catch enemy SEMs in my experience. So yeah, Big Bear is quite good. Nurgle, one of the things that they do really well is infantry. So the Elemental Bear, ROR, I actually think is better than the basic Bear because not only are the stats better, but it also has a Bound Heart of Winter ability. So you can cast a big AoE kind of anti-infantry piece, which is very, very good. Two Cossars here. We do have a Patriarch, an Ice Witch of Tempest to cast Blizzard, basically. Little Grom is there because one of the techs that, in my experience, has been effective as a Nurgle player against Kislev or any of these kind of human gunline factions is the double Soul Grinder. So having Soul Grinders to just bombard the Kislev troops is very strong, and one Little Grom will keep them honest. It's going to be able to kill them over the course of a longer game. Two Cossars with Spears, and that is it. Now for the army here of the dreaded Flying Taco, the Lord of the Great Maw, he's going to be coming in with Marauders, great weapons, more Marauders, and yeah, mainly just chaff units, which is to be expected. You can go Chaos Warriors, but it looks like he's going to be experimenting with some more expensive pieces like Rotflies, as well as Chaos Knights of Nurgle. I'm pretty interested to see how these guys do. One of the coolest looking units in the entire game, in my opinion. Nurgle Knights are just so badass. Look at these guys. They're ready to go, man. So we got more great weapons on the far side, and that is it. That's always been one of my, the way I analyze why Nurgle is not great is because I feel Rotflies and Toads are bad units. A lot of their roster is very good. Their Nurgle infantry is great. They have awesome Lords of Magic. Lord of Nurgle is one of the better lores, I think, in the game. I wouldn't say like top 3, but maybe like top 5. But just because it has really good healing and decent crowd clearing and whatnot. But yeah, it's tricky. They just have like their tertiary units, like their Fleshhound equivalent, their Screamer equivalent. Those demons that are supposed to fill the roster out just aren't good, and they need a little bit of a looking at, in my opinion. And Kislev, one of the reasons why they probably have the lowest win rate on Total Tavern, in tandem with Nurgle, they kind of bounce back and forth, is simply because their roster is just so limited. And they're pretty predictable, right? Like, Nurgle got a DLC. They got a lot of extra stuff, but Kislev is still just kind of, all they've gotten is 2 RORs, basically, right? They are 3. I think they have the Frozen Heart of Winter, the Dazen's Hearthblades, and the Oath Brothers of Tor. So Cannon going downtown and getting some okay work against the Marauders, and obviously he's hiding everything well. Taco's a seasoned tournament player. He's not going to give anything up for free here, as the big Elemental Bear going to be having a nice little breath attack on the Marauders. It's not bad. It's honestly, those breath spells are decent, especially if you get them down the side. But I was like, let's soften up the great weapons a little bit and just push down the lane. So this is the Gates of Ekron. It's kind of a lane map. We have objective 1 and 2 here. And on the far side, they have another objective that's kind of off on its own, which is more of an open field scrap. But on this map, one of my favorite ways to play is really just to get like a single lane push. Just try and bully and force like a defensive concave here. It really depends on what faction you're playing, though. Like, there's times where you want to be doing, the different strategy of defending home and controlling the side objective. It just really depends on what you're playing. So there's going to be a big alpha strike coming in from Nurgle. They're going to get a fat surround on me. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of value here. I did break 1 Marauder, but that's not a huge deal. Cossar shooting into Toads feels pretty good. Able to soften those guys up. We did bring out some heavy war sleds to try and clear out infantry, but now Nurgle's going to be coming in from the side with a ton of stuff. And it looks like the dreaded Rotflies will be descending on the Cossars. Cossars will be very good against them, though, with the Spears. Rotflies are large entities, so the Cossars would probably straight up win that in just a prolonged fight. But obviously not with Nurgle magic. And the Chaos Knight Hammer should be quite interesting to see. So Winged Lancer just kind of waiting in the wings, trying to see where Nurgle is going to be collapsing from. When you bring a big Elemental Bear, it obviously softens up your army a little bit in terms of width. Big Blizzard going down there does wreck those Marauders. Probably should have saved it for the big Chaos Knights, but now I'm trying to get the Bear over here, so the Bear is coming in the sleds, and we're trying to intercept these Chaos Knights and keep them from just running over my Cossars in the backfield. Yeah, Cossars are anti-large spears, but these Chaos Knights pack a pretty hard punch, and if they're able to get onto my lightly armored Cossars, it's going to be a bad time. So I do pop Heart of Winter as well. So the Heart of Winter is going down, and I was trying to chase through the Chaos Knights, but I couldn't quite get through these Marauders. My own Chariots kind of blocked me up a little bit, and now it's going to be some backfield pressure coming in here, and it's going to be quite scary. But the thing is, Kislev characters like the Patriarch and the Ice Witch and the whatever, anyone who rides a bear is a pretty powerful armor-piercing character. They themselves have good armor-piercing, so I have these 2 Patriarch characters, each of which can probably kill a Chaos Knight with a single attack. Little Grom is pretty armored itself, and summoning in more Winged Lancers on the side, so just have to sacrifice my backfield a little bit, my cannon, to get the Winged Lancers of Kislev in there to just try and bully these Nurgle infantry. And 1 charge does some really, really solid damage, and I honestly think Winged Lancers are some of the best cavalry units in the game. They're very, very good. So heavy war sleds tearing through the front line, being attacked by throwing axes as well, though. So good play there by Flying Taco, utilizing the throwing axes to drag down my armored sleds. One of the best options that Nurgle does indeed have. And the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle, being attacked by the big bear, is going to be trying to hustle over here. But you can see the Rotflies and the Chaos Knights, especially since they're the Lance variant, they're not that good in sustained combat. If you want to like have a Chaos Knight plopped in sustained combat and just have them sitting there, you want to go with the Sword and Board variant. These ones are really good on the charge, slower though, albeit being Nurgle, but even still, yeah, the Sword and Board variant probably would be a little bit stronger. Ice Switch does summon into Snow Leopards. Snow Leopards are a great answer. I think you should always bring like 1 or 2 Snow Leopards against any of these type of factions. And now we got more Winged Lancers coming in, so just trying to salvage my position because I'm really stuffed here and the value's close, which isn't good considering he's Nurgle. So I need to get a little bit of ground here. He has objective 3, he has objective 1. Here we do get a Blizzard, which doesn't do much considering it's just Plague Toads there. So a poor cast on my part, but you know, there was a lot going on. It was very, very overwhelming. But we do kind of break up the Chaos Knights. So the Chaos Knights are broken, they're terrified, they're running for the hills. And the big Elemental Bear is just kind of being a raid boss here, guys. Like, wherever it goes, you know, the earth trembles, barely holding onto this objective with all our characters. Salak's Lullaby and the Winter Song of Sunlight comes out, which also makes everyone fresh nearby, which is really, really good. But overall, a very, very scrappy game. Taco showing that he truly is the champion of Haggard factions as we have our Duel of Fates. So his reinforcements are going to be the Barons of the Bog. Barons of the Bog going to be really nasty since the fighting is very heavily consolidated on this point back here. These guys with their AoE debuffs, they have the Miasma of Rot, which of course buffs him, but they have the Wasting Sickness. Just a lot of really, really foul stuff here, which is going to be debuffing my units in the blob. So, you know, I saw them coming, got a little bit stressed out for sure. Kossar shooting into the back of these Toads, but the bear might be able to fight them off. We'll have to see. A lot of infantry coming in from the dreaded Taco, and on the other side, we're going to start pushing. So I realize I feel like the bear will eventually win this, maybe with my characters. So I'm starting to plan ahead. In Domination, you really need to do that, right? So Kossovite Dervishes and Armored Kossars moving up on those great weapons there should be able to win that. And it's taking advantage of one of Nurgle's weaknesses, which is their inability to reinforce points quickly. I mean, they can send Furies over there and or Toads, and looks like it's going to be some Chaos Chariots, but overall, Kislev is going to be far superior at that. So some Rotflies had jumped to the backfield, but the character squad, the Ice Witch, the Patriarch, and the Winged Lancers were able to drag them down. Chaos Knights did come back from the rout and got a nice little charge on the side of my Winged Lancers, doing some good work. Elemental Bear, basically in its natural habitat. Barons of the Bog, though, are debuffing it pretty heavily, so you can see its weapon strength is 360 right now. That is such a debuff, in tandem with the baseline poison and the rot that they're suffering. Yeah, the Wasting Sickness, dude, that is so incredibly good. So yeah, the debuff continues, and a couple of my units do rally in the backfield. They're going to be maybe moving over to Objective 1 while my Bear characters try and chase away these Marauder Horsemen. Chaos Knights do get broken by the Winged Lancers, and now just going to be resetting them, trying to get those charges and eventually clear them off. Now, as far as this fighting goes, the Armored Kossars are a really, really solid unit. They're able to get their pistol shots into the Great Weapons, and those Great Weapon boys are down to about half health. Winged Lancers, or no, Kossovite Dervishes, that's right. Maybe going to get attacked by these Rotflies. We'll have to see. But the Kossovite Dervishes should be able to put up a good fight and mitigate the effectiveness of the Chariots pretty well. No additional reinforcements coming out here right now, but we'll see if the Armored Kossars can hold with a little bit of support from the Dervishes. And now we bring in some heavy hitters. Winged Lancers are on their way out, and these guys have earned a chevron from their previous life, or they had one in the Army's life, I'm not sure. So hopefully they'll do well. So we're starting to get a little bit of momentum back here. Taco is up in value, but I believe a Blizzard's going to be coming down soon, which should break a lot of the Nurgle stuff off the objective. Now, normally when Nurgle's ahead of you in value like this, it can be pretty bleak, right? But you have to remember, I have a ton of healing as well. My Patriarch has been constantly healing nonstop. He has a passive healing effect, which is an AoE, and he has his Salak's Lullaby. So I've gotten a ton of healing on my Bear, on my Winged Lancers here, on my characters. And if the Bear doesn't actually go down and I'm able to heal it even more, you know, that can totally change the momentum of a game. Nurgle is summoning out Marauders, as well as more Marauders with Great Weapons, looking to push up and continue this pressure. On the side point here, it's a little bit of a messy fight, and a good intercept here. The Rotflies do manage to run down my Winged Lancers before they can get to the front line, but ironically, the Winged Lancers might end up winning that. We'll have to see. Although, I don't know, the Rotflies should win that in sustained combat. And Kossovite Dervishes are summoned in from the Vanguard point here. I obviously know I need a little bit of help. The boys need some milk. And Rotflies getting surrounded here should be enough to kill them and tank their leadership. They're currently at 30, but the surround from the Dervishes and Winged Lancers, I basically just need my boys to hold here. I need them to hold a little bit longer while my cavalry in the back are able to win their fight. And then we can move up there and take that objective. So back to Objective 2, it looks like it is swinging back to Kislev. The Elemental Bear pressure was a little bit too much, honestly. Just that sustained grind with a big fighty monster has really been a bit of a pain for Nurgle. And they did use a lot getting it low, and I don't know if they're going to have the tools to get this thing down at this point. As you can see, the Lord is in a little bit of trouble. Fecundity going down, which is going to be giving the Nurgle Lord some nice HP. More cav in the back, so we got Dervishes and Winged Lancers just running down the Nurglite infantry, while the Frozen Heart of Winter continues to bring the Wrath of Urson to these bad boys. High ground is secured. Objective is there for Kislev. Winged Lancers, Patriarch, and the Ice Witch have done it. So now Nurgle does have its reinforcements here, but they're looking pretty vulnerable. And once Nurgle kind of loses its momentum and units start to get isolated and picked apart, it does give us an opportunity to get back in the game. So we did summon in some basic Cossars with their bows. Hopefully these bad boys will be shooting. It's some Haggard obstruction, but yeah, I was giving them attacking orders and eventually just had them stand still so they would shoot on their own, but they straight up just weren't shooting. So pretty disappointing stuff, but you know, janky Total War mechanics are what we all live for here. Kosovo dervishes, more dervishes, hunting down the bear into the bog. Need to finish those guys off. They have been an absolute scourge and really made this fight on Objective 2 that much harder. Over here, we do have the Winged Lancers as well as the Patriarch and the Ice Witch moving up to attack the Marauders of Nurgle with great weapons, which will be good against the Cav, but they're not going to be so good against those SEM characters. They should be able to grind, and now it is time for the big Chungus to move over to the objective, and there is no way these Marauders are going to be able to hold this point. This bear is pretty good at clearing out infantry. I find some of its attack animations aren't terrible. Blizzard effect going down once again from the Ice Witch, which has proved to be pretty good, and honestly, if you guys are aspiring Kislev players, I highly recommend just using Blizzard. Lore of Ice is okay. You know, the Icebane's Kiss is decent, but Blizzard kills like all infantry. It kills the armored infantry, it kills the trash infantry. It's generally just a little bit more of a well-rounded one. So still pushing on the side here. We get some Winged Lancers moving up and trying to support the units that are wavering here. The Marauder Horsemen come over on the side and do intercept the Dervishes and Lancers, but should be getting dragged down while these Archers will hopefully continue to move up and finally start shooting. But it looks like Flying Taco is going to be bringing over the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And it's getting really scary, guys. I mean, looking at the points, it's looking pretty bleak, but you know, never underestimate the dreaded bear. It's going to keep fighting to the bitter end, ladies and gentlemen, as these Marauders of Nurgle, they have 5 capture weight, and I have 3, 6, 9 right here. So I have 9 capture weight against its 5. With these Marauders being broken off the point, looks like they might run off the side of the battlefield. We'll have to see. So I should be able to flip this objective. I just basically have Little Grom sitting back here, and I wasn't too concerned. And with Kislev, you don't need to like camp like with Dwarves, you would want to leave something here, right? But I can summon in some fast cav like really quickly to help that point out if things get a little bit messy. Little Grom shooting into the bear into the bog and accruing decent value. It's got about 500 considering how hard it was being pressured. Not terrible. More armored Cossars coming in, and I know I need to get this point eventually. It's triple cap territory. I don't have any choice. So I have to play all 3 objectives, which is very stressful, but you know, somebody's got to do it. Winged Lancers, normally a really hard counter against the Plague Toads. They charge in there. Plague Toads are a bonus for infantry, and their stats, I suppose, they're okay, but yeah, they don't have a lot of armor piercing. So the Winged Lancers with their 80 armor will be able to endure. Nurgle sacrifices coming in, and Nurgle's kind of just throwing things in right now as he tries to Blight Pull in my backfield. And look at the damage that does, even with me partially dodging it. Very well played there. That was a great cast, but I gotta push this back. So back objective, a little bit scary, but like I said, I can just summon in Winged Lancers to kind of clean up the scraps in the bear and the bog. This objective has flipped, which has bought me time. It gives you a little bit of a cushion. Obviously, he still would win with his 1 cap over here, and it looks like that's going to be his game plan. Although, no, he's still pressuring here a little bit. So, yeah, he's trying to get objective 1, which is a scary one, because if I leave to go across and go after his objective, I mean, even Nurgle can waddle here. It's not that long from the initial spawn point. So Winged Lancers clean up the Marauders, and now they'll be moving up to the high ground, while the Plague Toads, the Barons of the Bog, are keeping Little Grom shut down for now. He didn't really bring too many good targets for Little Grom, to be honest. You know, normally it's against Soul Grinders, against Kugath, you know, big targets, but Flying Taco made a wise choice of not bringing anything that they would be good against. So, a little bit scary here, guys. I'm starting to lose this fight. Flying Taco pushing me back. We do have our Armored Cossars. Winged Lancers being overwhelmed, while we do get a little bit of bowfire coming in, but I can't give up on this fight. Can't give up on the boys. As the Kosovo dervishes do get around the back, going to be rear charging into the Marauders of Nurgle, but still, Taco's got a lot of good infantry here, backed up by a little bit of mass from the Toads, but the surround hopefully will be enough to break, and also more dervishes from the other side. Dervishes are, I think, one of the best units on the roster. They're just so cost-effective, like this unbreakable skirmish cav unit that just does serious work. So at this point, I'm a little bit torn. I'm like, do I take the bear over to the side objective? You could see here I did have something on the point, but he summoned in a single unit of Rotflies, which honestly, not the worst thing. I mean, they got 500 value in their last life, which I suppose isn't like great, but now I know I have to send the bear. The bear has to go. Wherever the bear goes, I've had success getting these objectives. Winged Lancers here clean up that point, but unfortunately these Marauder Horsemen are getting some really nice throwing axe volleys, so super well played to Taco there. My backs are turned, so the shields aren't going to be helping, but these 2 characters are just going to have to hold. And yeah, I think I saw that he had triple infantry here, so I pull back because that's too much capture weight. So the bear pulls back. He's at 1,300 points right now, still fighting desperately here in the backfield. But, you know, he's a little bit overextended in some ways, and many of these units are very slow. So I have an opportunity to go for a back cap, right? So I grab some dervishes, just all my mobility. I move over to the side point here, and we do see the Rotflies, but they have no capture weight because they're a flying unit. Nurgle can't respond really quickly with infantry. These Marauders can easily be intercepted by Winged Lancers and held at bay for a long time. So currently, as it stands, I'm capping this objective. The Nurgle forces are very deep in the backfield, and the Elemental Bear ended up having to stay here, and yeah, it's keeping those infantry at bay. It looks like they're pulling back. I believe there's going to be a breath attack going down in just a moment. This game was played a couple weeks ago, so Don't quite remember, but here it comes. Oh yes, release the breath attack. Perfect breath attack right there. Little Grom cannonball in the face. Negative 55 leadership, and that is why the Frozen Heart of Winter is an absolute unit here. So 2100 value, and the two characters fighting. More Nurgle infantry on the way over, and here it looks like we do flip the objective, which was massive. So now I just need to hold on to this basically as hard as I possibly can. We got Kislev dervishes, more dervishes here, as well as another unit, and Nurgle sending in toads, but we should be able to fight. Rotflies and toads aren't particularly good against like those light cav. At this point is in a little bit of danger of flipping here, but if I can get some terror routes, a little bit of push there, we should be okay. More winged lancers coming in to support, but they are great weapon marauders who, in sustained combat, probably could push through those winged lancers. Winged lancers currently earning 3 chevrons. Geez, 1400 value, that's pretty good. There they go, running into the boys. Hopefully we'll just get some terror routes. Nurgle is not immune to psychology like Slaanesh, so they definitely can get routed off. You can see they're shaken, and a terror route's going to be going down any second as we just kind of play whack-a-mole and take those units off the point. Over here, trying desperately to hold on to this one, but Nurgle is coming. They're coming to get you. They got toads coming up. They have some more marauders, and my dervishes are just desperately holding on to this one. I basically just need to hold on long enough that I can win on 2 points, which is not going to be easy, as Nurgle does have some units on the way, and they are slow and ponderous, but they will get there eventually. Winged Lancers, though, when they arrive, will they hold the point? We got the Winged Lancers as well as the dervishes coming, finally clearing out the backfield pressure. These guys battling the toads to the bitter end. These other dervishes doing the same. I do not believe their passive is procced yet. And there's not a lot of capture weight here for Nurgle. And if we could just roadblock their units off the point, again, another domination tactic you want to take into account is roadblocking. So if you need to hold the point, they have higher capture weight units coming. You can use your mobility to keep them off the point. So here, Derbyshire is going to move up, just going to be sacrificed in to try and keep these Marauders off the point. Currently, we're about to breach the 1,000 points, and I think I was out of cab to summon. I really didn't have too much. Elemental Bear over here, able to do its job, and it looks like Taco's kind of given up on this point. He knows it's kind of a Helm's Deep situation, but he does summon out the Chad Chaos Knights, which was pretty awesome. Maybe looking to hammer my back point. Oh, that's kind of a clever one. So I think the Chaos Knights might be maneuvering to get this back point for me with some Chaos Chariots, some Marauder Horsemen here. We'll have to see. Very, very risky. I think sending the Chaos Knights maybe to this point could be a little bit of a stronger play, but even still, we'll have to see how that unfolds for him in this absolute nail-biter of a game. Gossify Dervishes versus Plague Toads, holding it down. They're going to lose, obviously, but they are holding strong for the Bear God. More Cav coming out. Again, just trying to tar pit on this point and, get to that point of no return. Flying Taco does have his Chaos Knights coming through the tree line, so let's see where they're going to be maneuvering. Looks like they're eyeing the prize of my back objective. Now, I do have my Bear characters who do have decent capture weight themselves, and I'm able to get some Winged Lancers in there who will lose, but if I have the Bear characters supporting and several units, I can definitely swamp Chaos Knights. And now we're seeing the Bronzodia Chaos Knights, why they're just kind of a bit of a janky unit. Yeah, they try and get their charge, but their charge is awkward because of the, they got caught in that other unit. So then the lances are ineffective. So again, really, really wishing they had the sword and board variant. So right here, Kislev units still holding on to the point. Some are routing, some are coming back. And right now we do pass them in points. So at this point, it was pretty much GG. I just had to fight off the Chaos Knights and I knew I had it. I passed them in points and we still managed to hold on to that triple cap. So GG, well played. The Battle of the Pits has been won by the Frozen Heart of Winter. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing some underdog factions duke it out. It's always fun, it's always fun. There are certainly power levels in this game, to an extent. If you want to see it, go to TotalTavern.com and check out the stats and win rates, and that'll give you a bit of an idea of things. As of the recording of this video, I think that Nurgle and Kislev were on the bottom. I don't know who was lower. It was probably I don't know, probably Nurgle, I would guess. Yeah, Nurgle's a tricky one to play for sure, and Kislev does have some decent tools against Nurgle as well. So, GG, well played to Taco. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Looking at value, we do have 2,400. Little Grom got about 900. For Taco, yes, Chaos Knights got 1,500. Remember, that's off 2 summons. So they did not pay for themselves. They're an expensive-ass unit. And Barons of the Bog were great, though. 1,400 on them. They were a nightmare to drag down. Very, very good ROR. And yeah, Marauder Horsemen, if you had more of those, I could have been in danger. It's just like in Warhammer 2. You would use Marauder Horsemen throwing axes to kill Bretonnian Knights, to kill Empire Heavy Cav. It's the way that you deal with it with Chaos. GG, well played. See you guys next time. Take care of yourselves, and that is it for tonight.